Welcome back to The Pitch, an Ashland University men's soccer coaches show. I'm Kate Krakenster alongside Coach Nick Roberts. Coach, I appreciate your time here today.
No problem. That's good.
It's great to have you back on the show. You know, we're going on to 3 weeks now of doing it, and we've gradually kind of dove into the year, talked about your side, talked about recent results, and then preview games to come. So let's start with that kind of formation again here. Let's talk about the games from this past week. First and foremost, your initial thoughts.
Well, last week was, in some ways it was a tough week. We played Tiffin at home, who, have been probably the top team in the past 2 or 3 years. I think they've won the league last couple of years. We knew it was going to be a tough game. Played very well for 70 minutes. And then I think we got tired towards the end. We were 1-0 up. I thought very comfortable. But then, we sort of fell apart those last 10 minutes of the game. We got tired, had some injuries, a couple of guys cramping, and that didn't help. And then they took advantage of that, and scored two very late goals, which was it was a tough one to swallow, to be totally honest.
And how do you move forward from a game like that, especially because you guys played very well throughout the entirety of the game until like you mentioned the last 15 minutes or so?
Yeah, well you got to get through those parts of the game that the game lasts 90 minutes. So the lesson really is that you got to get through it. You got to find ways through it. We've got to be stronger. We've got to be tougher. Maybe when you're getting guys going down with injuries and cramps and those type of things, we have to look at things like hydration. We have to look at things how they prepare for games. We have to look at maybe our fitness levels, those type of things. So we sort of talked about those. The good thing was we turned around and played again 2 days later against Northwood.
Yeah.
And we quickly got it out of our system and won the game against Northwood. So that was nice to have that game, although it could have been a bit tricky, but we got through it okay. But it was nice to get that and get it out of the way pretty quickly from the loss on Tuesday.
Of course, and I was just about to say that, last week when we were on the show together, we talked about, having to turn around within 48 hours or so, 72 hours and play another game. How do you think your guys responded to that? Yeah,
they were good. I do think that we're okay with fitness-wise, and I think, just the messaging from me and from the other coaches after that game was like, get back up, get back on the training field Wednesday, which is what we did, and let's address what we need to address from that game, but let's move it out of the way once we've done that, and now focus on the next game. So again, once you get a win in that 2 days later, that really that helps you get through that pretty quickly.
Of course, and it wasn't just really a win; it was a dominating win for you guys. I mean, you guys looked exceptional on the offensive end. Tom Woodward and Soji Tanaka combining to really get the job done. Your thoughts on their play?
Yeah, it was good. The good thing is we got an early goal, so that really helps, settles the nerves a little bit. And then I think shortly after that we got the second goal, and we were good. We were good right from the start. I mean, again, it was more like, hey, let's get out there. Let's get back on the right foot. Let's do it quickly. Let's not make hard work of this if we can win at home and get the results. So, those guys, Tommy's, I think, 4 goals now. Sochi 3 goals. So, those guys are always going to pop up and score goals for us.
They're getting the job done, which is nice. And it also speaks to kind of your team that we've talked about all year. It's kind of balanced between some youngsters and some veterans.
Yeah.
And those two are kind of filling that void really well. But, shifting gears now, taking a look at Between the Pipes, Alvaro Bone, he had 8 saves against Tiffin, 4 against Northwood, 12 in last week. I mean, he was peppered and was still able to make some pretty good saves. How have you seen his development over the course of the year?
Yeah, he's good. He's, the main thing, the keepers, for me, is the backbone of the team, right? Unless you... the 10 players on the field need to be able to look behind them and go, okay, we feel comfortable here. So I think he's done that. He's established himself. We know that he's got the big saves, and we've seen that already against Tiffin. He made a couple of great saves. So he's coming along nicely, and we're getting used to him being a new goalkeeper. And again, as I said before, he's very steady. His kicking's good. He's got the saves, and he is that guy, the goalkeeper, always going to be that guy that, hey, they pull out the saves when you need it, and he tends to do that. So we're going on 5 games now, and he's played every game, and he's looking very steady in there. And also he's got some really good competition behind him with Zach Harrison, and also Augustine back there. So it's a good goalkeeping situation right now.
Yeah, and you talk about that game against Northwood. Obviously, you guys have made a lot of improvements in just holding possession and then moving down the field as a collective unit. You guys outshot Northwood 15-10. A lot of their shots came in the dying embers of the game, so you guys kind of held that control throughout most of it. Is that something that you guys are preaching to the team? Get shots towards the keeper?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we have a lot of good qualities all over the field. But I think we also know that up front we have some really, we have a lot of speed. We have some really good wingers. Marley, Hayden Clark just became available for us through the eligibility centre, so he's out there now. Sergio, Rodri, Leo, we've got a lot of speed on those flanks, and also with Tom, Woody and Sochi up front, and then obviously Ricky Soto's our number 10. We have a lot in attack. We have a lot of guys that can, I like to call them difference makers. They can score goals. So we have that. So we do work on that a lot. At times this year we have played more or less with 4 up top. Pressing and that type of stuff. So yeah, we're aware of it and we work on it, and we think it's a big strength to our team.
And I'm glad you mentioned Hayden Clark because, slipped off the top of my mind there. He had a great game against Northwood, and a lot of those guys have really kind of come into new roles. Some of these guys who Eagle Nation aren't really familiar with. Yeah. And, I talked to you before the game, and I talked to Pedro a little bit, and you guys are throwing out a lineup out there that was something we haven't seen all year. Yeah. When you talk about just having such depth, I mean, what does that mean to the program? I
think it means a lot for the future because kids like Hayden Clark, Landon Clayton, who was also the other kid, played a little bit at the end the other day. Some of these younger players that are with us, Anthony Soto, Turbo, as he's known. Just a lot of these type of kids with us this year that are just getting used to the college game, but are also sort of seeing significant playing time, and also opening our eyes a little bit, saying, "Wow, they're doing good." So the good thing for the future is, I've talked to a lot of people. I think in the next 2 or 3 years, this is going to be a really great group. But right now, we're just game by game, seeing what we get with them. But we're really happy with the group. We've got some very talented young players.
Yeah, speaking of game by game, looking ahead now, you got Ohio Dominican this coming weekend. I think it's Kentucky Wesleyan on Saturday. What are you looking like for those 2 games?
So, we try not to look, obviously we've got a plan for those games, and then we were just meeting a few minutes ago talking about what's after that. But, the focus really, what we've got to try and do is just kind of take each game as it comes. So right now, we're looking at Ohio Dominican, who, they're always there or thereabouts. I think they're a good team. I've known, Willie Merrick, their coach, for the best part of 30 years, so I know him well. He used to actually play for me back in the day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but so we know each other really well. I know the way they play. They always play really good soccer. Yeah. Possession. They're a good team. They tend to play the same way. And they can't be underestimated, So I've been watching this morning. I like the way they play, so that'll be a tough game. And then, hopefully we can deal with that and maybe get a win on Wednesday, and then we've got to turn around, leave Friday for Kentucky Wesleyan, and that we're playing down there. So obviously a 6-hour road trip, hotel, that type of stuff, which is can always knock you off kilter a little bit. But they're tough. It's a tough game. So just for this week. Same old, tough games. Got to try and get back on the road and get winning. That's what we've got to try and do.
Yeah. Lastly, how do you keep this momentum going forward after a win against Northwood? Couple-day break in between the games. How do you keep it moving?
Yeah, we've had a bit of time off this weekend. We trained early Saturday morning. Sort of the first chance really to give the guys sort of 48 hours off to let their bodies recover, that type of stuff. And we just again just game by game, not overcomplicating things, just talking about winning games and everybody doing their own responsibilities well, and if we do that, then we'll have a chance.
Perfect, Coach. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Cade.
If you have anything that you need in regards to Ashland University men's soccer, head over to goashlandeagles.com. You can find the schedule, roster, statistics, everything you could possibly need. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Pitch right here on the Eagle Network.